Hi guys. Did you know that you can grow fresh herbs and vegetables indoors during the dead of winter? You can have a thriving garden with all kinds of veggies, even when there's snow on the ground outside. Just imagine how awesome that would be. So join me as I take on the challenge of starting my own winter garden and see what veggies I'm going to be growing this winter. I'd like to welcome you to my backyard Kentucky homestead. My name is Kim, and let's get started. So it is getting towards the latter part of September, and the garden is definitely winding down. At best, we've got a few weeks left before our first frost, and it's going to be really sad to see it go. I still have a lot of stuff growing, a lot of tomatoes and squash, beans, a lot of other stuff going, but it's going to come to an end within the next month. So I would like to have some stuff growing indoors to take its place. Let me show you what I'll be growing indoors this year, and then I'll talk a little bit more about what we need to have in order to make it actually work. I have made all of my name tags, so I will not get stuff mixed up. If it's mixed up, it's not my fault. So for the greens, I'm going to be doing a red sales leaf lettuce. It has a 50-day maturity, 7 to 10-day germination. So this should be really good. I did grow lettuce last year. It worked very well. We're also going to be doing a Freckles romaine lettuce. Again, a 7 to 10-day germination and a 40-day maturity date. Now indoors, these things might take a little bit longer, but that's okay because, hey, it's just, we've got the winter. So this Freckles romaine lettuce is delicious, and it's really, really good. I'm going to try for the fourth time to grow some spinach. It has bolted on me every single time I've grown it, but we're going to do it one more time. 45 days to maturity, 7 to 14-day germination. So it's butterfly spinach. Another one that I've grown inside successfully is bunching onions. We're going to be doing Guardsman bunching onions. 110, whoa! All right. So this one, we'll see what happens. I have 2 packets, one from 2023, one from 2024 for Guardsman bunching onions. This one says it's a 50-day maturity. This one says 110-day maturity. I don't know. I'll plant a little bit of both and see what happens. See which one is accurate. It is the same stuff, but the maturity date is twice as long on this packet as the 2023 packet. So we're going to grow some green onions and we'll see what happens. I do have a few other varieties. I may do another one, but it might be a little bit shorter. I don't know. Okay. We're also going to try some leeks inside. This is a 95 to 110-day maturity, so this is longer. 4 to 10-day germination. Actually try some pak choi. So this I don't think has a very deep root base. So we're going to try some pak choi, so we'll have some fresh cabbage tasting greens. Because I don't want to try full cabbage. Well, probably won't work inside. I think pak choi might, so we're going to give this a try. We're also going to do a variety of herbs. 2 different types of basil. This is a dwarf Greek basil, 60 to 75-day maturity. Genovese basil, which is a 70-day maturity. So this is a really good one to make pesto with. We're going to do a Ducat dill, 60 to 70-day maturity. Dark green flat leaf parsley, it is 65 to 80-day maturity. Of course, with all of these herbs, we can cut them and then they will continue growing. So we also have some oregano. I have this growing outside. It is a perennial, but I would like to have some inside and I don't want to take what's out there in. So we'll start some more oregano. And I will try for, I think, the 3rd time some sage. I have never gotten anything to grow when I planted sage. Well, it's not true. I had arugula grow when I planted sage the first time. The second time it didn't grow at all. So we're going to try sage one more time. And then we're going to have some chives. So if it grows and it survives over the winter, I can actually just plant this out into the garden next year, which is actually what I did last year. It worked great. All right. So those are the green type of veggies. They're the easier ones to grow. They don't require as much light or full spectrum light necessarily. The next 3 categories I have are fruiting vegetables. So we have micro tomatoes, and we're going to do a little Napoli from Victory Seed Company, a microtina, also micro tomato, tiny Tim, and a red robin. I'll put images on the screen to go with these. But I did plant some of these last year and they are absolutely delicious. I didn't start them until the latter part of December or early January, so I never actually got tomatoes fully ripe inside. But once I put those plants outside, they have been going to town all summer. I've still got tomatoes on these little babies out there. And most of them are between 6 inches max height and 2 feet max height. So they're much smaller than even the dwarf tomatoes. These are micro dwarf tomatoes, so maximum 24 inches tall. The next one I'm going to try, I have seen people do it successfully, so I have good hope for this, are some sweet peppers. We're going to do pepperoncini, 70-day maturity, 10 to 21 day germination. And right now the house is warm enough so they should not have to go in a heat mat or anything like that. This is a Lemon Dream sweet pepper. Looks really good. It has a 70-day maturity. So all of the peppers that I'm choosing for the winter garden indoors do have a shorter days to maturity than other peppers, just because it's going to take a little bit longer anyway. They don't have the full sun, so it's going to be a little slower. We're also going to do a Jimmy Nardello, which is a 75-day maturity. So the fourth pepper is going to be the Pippin's Golden Honey. I've never grown this one before, but I saw Kim on Kim's Cozy Corner grow it, and it looked delicious. So we're going to go ahead and give this one a try. The final group of veggies that we're going to try are cucumbers, because I cannot grow cucumbers outside to save my life. The cucumber beetles, the harlequin bugs, everything, they just die. I get one cucumber, I'm lucky. I'm tired. I'm gonna grow them inside. So all four of these are female-only flowers, therefore they do not need to be pollinated. They are self-pollinating. We have the Diva from Johnny's. This is a cute one. It is a quick snack mini indoor cucumber, so it's specifically designed to grow inside with lower light levels. So it's really tiny cucumbers just to snack on. We're going to try the Ashley cucumber, which is a 55 to 65 day maturity, and the Bait Alpha, which is also 55 to 65. Again, these are all self-pollinating, so we should have fruit with no problem. These planted up, and then we'll get them in the grow room, and we'll talk about what light requirements and other things that they will need to be successful. For a bunch of the seeds, I will be using the Burpees organic seed starting mix. Once they get to be a few inches high, I will transplant them into indoor potting mix. It's important that you choose indoor potting mix for inside growing, because it has been sterilized and you'll be much less likely to get gnats and bugs and other stuff like that, which is bleh. So anyway, I also have indoor potting soil for that. I will also be using the indoor potting soil for the lettuce and the herbs, because I'm not going to be transplanting those. And the cucumbers, think I know what I'm going to do, but I will let you know in a minute here. So I'm trying to make up my mind. So let's get started. All right. So I've already planted up, this is the seed starting mix. I've already planted up the tomatoes and the peppers. They are planted 1/4 inch deep. This is exactly like you would start them if you were doing it in the springtime. So we're doing the very, very same thing. I'm also going to go ahead and put my pak choi in here, because that is easily transplanted. This is 1/2 inch deep. I think I might do, they're very, very small seeds. I'm going to do a couple per cell. And then we will transplant these into larger containers once they've sprouted. So the self-watering trays did not work out very well for me this year. Didn't have a problem in 2023, but they watered very unevenly, and I lost a lot of seedlings, either partially because they were too wet or too dry, and it just didn't work out. So I'm moving over to these. Got a whole bunch of these on clearance. They're the larger cells with a bottom water. We still want to do bottom watering. That reduces the amount of algae and fungus that can grow on the top of the dirt, and it really helps the plants once the seeds have started to be able to absorb the water from underneath. So we'll be using these for some of the application. Okay. But I was really recommending them earlier this year, the self-watering trays. I had so many problems. I will not use those again. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of pak choi. Got our little label in there. So that one is ready to go. I think I'm also going to do one of these for the leeks and for the bunching onions. Because again, those can be transplanted should they need to be. But these cells are pretty big. And I do have pre-moistened seed starting mix here. So what we're going to do here are the leeks. I'm going to do 2 rows of leeks and 2 rows of bunching onions. So we'll go ahead and put our leeks in and our bunching onion label in. And these are our Carrington leeks. So they need to be about 1/4 of an inch deep. I'm going to try to do 2 in the right set. I'm going to do 2 per cell because what I'm probably going to do is do a staggered, just like you would do succession planting outside. I'm going to try to do that inside because I really don't want everything to come to harvest one time and all at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and do it in an indoor succession planting process. Okay. Go ahead and rough that up a little bit, make sure that they're underneath. And honestly, I can't see the seeds, so I'm just making sure that they get pressed in. And we'll put a little bit of soil on top. Okay. And then we have our, we don't know, bunching onions. So I'm going to put the guardsman with the shorter maturity date in this first row and with a longer maturity date in this row. And we'll see if there's actually any difference. So one thing that you can do, I highly recommend it, is when you come to the end of the season, a lot of the online retailers will start clearancing out their seeds because they can't sell them legally from one year to the next. There's nothing wrong with the seeds, though. Carrots, pelleted seeds, some onion seeds, and maybe a few others do lose germination rate faster. But for the most part, seeds will last for years and years. So it is a really good idea to go ahead and get your seeds when they're on clearance. And the one thing that I've noticed is that inside, in your big box stores, the seeds just disappear. They don't put them on sale. Just they're there one day and then they're gone the next. At least in my area. So check out the online stores. Botanical Interest seems to have sales starting around 4th of July. And Gardeners usually later in August. So just keep an eye out for those. Push those in, and we're going to put just a little bit of extra dirt on top. Okay. So I will be covering all of these with vermiculite. I gotta go get that out of the shed. And then we'll water them in after that. Okay, so we've got our leeks and our onions set. I was able to get these plastic containers. They are food safe plastic from work. And what I'm going to do is put some drainage holes in each of these, and then they fit perfectly on the 1020 tray. So I'll put some holes in here, and then they'll be able to drain, and the water will come out underneath. What I'm going to do in these are my lettuces and my herbs. So we got this, and I'm going to use some indoor potting mix for this. So for this one, I think we're going to do half of it with the Freckles romaine lettuce and half of it with the Red Sales leaf lettuce. And then I'm just going to sprinkle them about. And again, this is something I'm going to be succession planting, so we don't have to be too heavy. And the Red Sales is a 50-day, so they will just do the same thing. You can see the difference. This seed is dark versus that one was white. So, different kind of lettuce, and we will just again sprinkle this over. And since it's right here, I'm going to go ahead and just take some of the seed starting mix and just barely cover below. Just barely cover the seeds up with that. Tap it down, make sure it has good contact with the dirt. Okay, there we go. So we got Freckles romaine on this side and Red Sales on this side. Okay, so in this one we're going to put the butterfly spinach in it. So the spinach is 1/2 inch deep, so this is a little deeper, 45-day maturity. And spinach seeds are actually quite large. You wouldn't think they would be, but they're actually pretty big. So we're just gonna see 4 to 6 inch spacing. So we're just gonna pop one here and there. Because my idea with this is to leave it in here to grow until I'm ready to harvest it. So there will not be transplanting it. We do a little bit more than half. And the other half we're going to put the chives in. Okay. So they can just cozy up and be friends with each other. This needs 1/4 inch deep. So I'm going to go ahead and poke these down. Since I can see them, I'm just going to bury them. They're going to go 1/2 inch deep. You'll find that as larger seeds will go deeper into the ground than smaller seeds. Okay, so then we need some cilantro. And I'm just gonna broadcast this here and there. Sorry, it's chives, not cilantro. Tap that down, put a little bit of the potting seed starting mix on top of it. So these are containers that had mushrooms in them that I got at Sam's. We're going to be putting some of our herbs in these. So again, get our indoor potting mix. Genovese basil, sage, and oregano. Okay. Now for the cucumbers. I was going to use a self-watering pot that I got off Temu. It has trellising on it. The reservoir on it is maybe 1/2 inch deep. Flimsy, not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then I will use some of my trellising from the tomatoes out there. And I'm just going to put 1 cucumber on each of the 4 sides. So we got our Diva cucumber. Oops. Okay, we'll do 2. Make sure one germinates. 1/2 inch deep. So this is Diva. And then we're going to do the quick snack. Then we have Ashley. And then we have the Bait Alpha. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and plant the rest of the herbs off camera. And we'll get those into the grow room after. But let me go ahead and get the vermiculite on top of these. We'll get them in the grow room and then we'll talk about the lighting and other needs that they will have. So we'll be using some vermiculite. And it's just a ground up stone. It's very, very, very fluffy, very light. But it helps to prevent algae growth on the top, as well as fungus gnats, laying eggs, and what have you. Hopefully we won't have that with these, but this is just a good precaution to take. Especially for these these larger containers, I will have to be watering from the top, not the bottom. All right, so we're in the grow room. I've got what we had already planted in here. I will finish up planting the other herbs later this evening or tomorrow. We got most of it in here. I have the lights on right now, but they will not run until we start seeing seedlings pop up. So let's talk a little bit about what they will need to grow successfully over the winter to actually fruit. So leafy greens and herbs are probably the easiest to grow because they don't actually have to develop fruit. So the lighting requirements for those are not as intense. I have, for the past 2 years, used LED shop lights for my grow room, and I will be using them for this application as well. These are 5,000 lumens, 6,500 Kelvin, so they're a very high level spectrum light. But I will be adding a couple of full spectrum with red light, grow lights, to help the fruiting vegetables, like cucumbers, tomatoes, and peppers. I will also have a Meyer lemon tree and a Valencia orange tree in here, as well as an olive tree. So those will need a little bit more light as well. Though I do have Meyer lemons on my lemon tree from last year. I hand pollinated it with just these lights. And I had to take some off. I've got 4 lemons about that big. Really excited. They're almost getting ripe. But I actually had to remove a few because there were too many that had pollinated, because it's like a 1-year-old tree, so very small. Put this together back in January. I did do a video on it. If you're interested in learning more about it, please check that out. And while I did start some of these in seed starting mix, as they grow and get a little bit bigger, I will be transferring them into the indoor potting soil. They can't stay in the indoor potting mix forever. Also, once they get to a certain size, a couple inches tall, we'll start putting liquid fertilizer on them. So like the Aswoma Organic Tomato or Grow, just a balanced low-level fertilizer. When they're smaller, we'll do a half dose, and as they get larger, we'll do a full dose every few weeks. So that's what we'll be doing with these. With regards to watering, I will be watering these from the bottom. The other ones, I'm not going to be able to do that, so I have to be very careful to watch the algae growth. The vermiculite that I spread on top of them will help reduce that, but we'll just have to keep an eye on that. And we'll have a dehumidifier in here, as well as some fans running. So the final thing I want to talk to you about is pest control. So we went inside. You will probably end up getting fungus gnats. It just happens, unfortunately. There are those yellow sticky traps that will collect some of them, but it doesn't do very good. It doesn't get rid of them. When I started bringing my fruit and vegetables in from the garden, I was storing them on the sink. You actually see some squash. You can actually see some squash back here. Got some potatoes up there, which I'll be moving out, as well as onion and garlic. I started getting some fungus gnats in here, some fruit flies in here. So the yellow stickies weren't doing anything. So I got one of these Zevo light things, which is basically just a sticky trap with a light attached to it. It cleared out the gnats I had in here in 2 weeks, completely gone. I did not have dirt for them to lay eggs on, but there were quite a lot of them. So anyway, so I highly recommend trying the Zevo. I'm interested to see how that will do over the winter with the dirt in here and a higher humidity level. But it has worked really well, both in my kitchen, where I have a lot of fruits and vegetables from the garden, as well as in here in this grow room, storage room. So if you found this video helpful, please check out my other gardening videos. I like to share a lot of the things I'm learning with you. Also, if you've had a winter garden before, please share it in the comments below. I'd love to know what you grew, how it went, and what issues you found, and what you overcame, and what success you had. So I want to thank you for joining me. Until the next time, I hope you have a very wonderful day, and bye.